Hello, all of my little ASMR puppies, my little ASMR puppy dogs out there. I hope you're excited for another episode of ASMR 64. I'll be your host, Max, and today we're going to be playing Mario Kart 64. I prefer to play on 150cc, and the character today that we'll use will be Yoshi. I love Yoshi. We'll start with the Mushroom Cup because it's the best way to send this game off in a very positive manner. Nice, relaxing cup to play. It's not too difficult. I'd say I know these 4 courses the best and are probably the easiest to maneuver around and, well, except for Calamari Desert maybe, but we'll get to that one a little later. So I'm nothing close to being an elite Mario Kart 64 player, but according to MarioKart64.com, I'm something between an expert and a high intermediate, based off of my time trial times. This is a different sort of play style, though, when you're actually doing the Grand Prix. The community on MarioKart64.com is extraordinary. I just started submitting my times there semi-recently, and I am thrilled with the updates and the incredible competitiveness that is still very much alive in the Mario Kart 64 world. It's honestly unbelievable. There are hundreds of people that have submitted times and are constantly trying to better their race scores, their race times. There are there's 2 different main categories, and then there are 2 different categories within those 2 categories. There are the non-shortcuts time trials, and there are the shortcut time trials. And each of those categories has 2 subcategories of 3 lap times and 1 lap times. And currently, the best players in the world are still very much active. There is one gentleman that goes by the alias MR, and then there's Beck Abney, and then there's Dan's Game, and a few others. I'm pretty confident. I have one subscriber by the name of Haddock that plays this game, and he is also a top player. So Haddock, if you do end up watching this, don't judge my Mario Kart skills too harshly. I'm very far from being an elite racer, but I do love this game and have always loved this game ever since it was released. It was probably the second game that I bought, or I guess was gifted, being I was only 8 years old at the time that this came out. Here's Koopa Beach, I think that out of all the courses, this one is probably my favorite, mainly because I like the beach setting, but I also love this shortcut here, which always feels so good to get. It took a long time practicing before I was able to get that shortcut consistently, but after many years, it's easier than it used to be. So why don't I explain a little bit about the gameplay? As you can see, I'm doing these drifting moves that build up from white to yellow to orange. And what I'm doing is I'm moving the control stick back and forth every time that color changes. And when you release after it turns orange, also I should add, I'm holding the shoulder button after I jump, and that's what holds the slide. But after you release on the orange color, it produces something called a mini turbo, which is sort of the same thing as a shroom, one of the shroom boosts, but a little smaller, a little less intense. Alright, so here we are at the Calamari Desert. I have not yet been able to master I haven't mastered any of the tracks, but this one, my goal is eventually to be able to beat the train on the second lap, which I have not yet been able to do. You can see I'm playing a little sloppy. I'm filming this for the purposes of ASMR, not for the purposes of impressing people with great track times. Though, at some point, maybe I will upload my speedrun and talk over that a bit. Currently, my fastest time is 44 minutes. I believe the world record is somewhere around 38. I could be mistaken. It could be less than that. I would have to check. You know what? Why don't we just check? Why not? We'll take a look. So we'll go to speedrun.com/MK64. And I believe Beck Abney holds the world record with MR milliseconds behind him. I think 2 milliseconds slower. Speedrun usually takes a very long time to load, so we'll give that a minute. Keep looking at the race. You can see that I had to wait for the train there, which is embarrassing. It's the opposite of what you want to be doing when you're racing, is pausing the vehicle and having to wait for something. Okay, so the website is under a lot of pressure right now. That's typical speedrun.com. So, as you can see from the standings here, Toad was my enemy there. I forget the word for it. Anyway, it doesn't matter, but every single time that you're playing one of these Grand Prix, there's always a character that is constantly nipping at your toes. And it becomes very annoying. I've grown to really dislike characters like Bowser and DK when they take that role. It becomes very, very frustrating when they're bouncing off of you constantly. So the world record is Abney, 38 minutes, 37 seconds, 410 milliseconds, 4/10. MR is 38, 37, 6. So it's very, very, very close. Alright, so we'll watch this menu selection again. I'm going to skip the flower cup. I'm really not a big fan of the flower cup. We'll do the star cup right now. Star cup I enjoy. I've been practicing Sherbert Land a lot lately, but playing on the time trials is much different. So watch here. When you're starting a race, if you press jump right when you hit the boost at the beginning of the race, you'll actually bounce off the cart in front of you and basically leapfrog everybody, which is pretty useful at the beginning of the race. I'm going to hit the wall here, but useful at the beginning of the race. I probably don't use all of the different strategies that I could be using to really speed my character up. I don't hug the walls very tight all the time. I don't always take the camera and minimize it. Or usually what a lot of runners do is they'll take the camera and they'll move it back so that you're farther away, and I believe that's supposed to limit the amount of lag you get. Also, dragging items like bananas around certain courses also help eliminate a lot of lag. Like DK's jungle, I believe, is much less laggy when you're dragging a banana. I'm not 100% sure if that's true, but I know that there are a few courses that it is true. But yeah, we're in the middle of one of the longer tracks in the game, Wario Stadium. I don't really like the longer ones so much. I don't like getting so deep into a track and then screwing up right at the end, or getting hit by lightning at the end, or whatever have you, and it totally ruining the race. But besides that, the rest of the Star Cup I actually really enjoy. So, like I said, I've been playing this game pretty much my entire life as a gamer, since the N64 was released. Before I had an N64, I had a Sega Genesis, so this was my first experience with Nintendo. At some point, maybe I'll start a Sega Genesis channel and we can dive through a lot of those titles, but for now we're going to focus on N64. But it wasn't until probably 2015 or so that I really started taking this game a little more seriously in terms of speeding up my racing skills and learning different strats. I actually found an old controller in my parents' basement that had a memory card in it, and on the memory card was all of my brother's old time trial records. And I said to myself, well, I can't have him having all of these records on here, I have to destroy them. And so what I did was I went through every single track and I beat the snot out of all of his old records. And then I invited him over and showed him what I had done. And then we did a little Grand Prix racing, and he still managed to kick my butt, which really brought me down a peg, because I thought that, oh, look at this, lightning right at the beginning. That's great. You love seeing that. But anyway, he still managed to whoop me. But that's the thing about a lot of these N64 games. When you're behind, it's very friendly in giving you the items you need to succeed, which I've always found to be super annoying when I'm playing this with other people. I hate losing to something as silly as a blue shell, or as a lightning strike at the wrong time that just sends you flying off like Banshee Boardwalk or something. But that is also the fun in this game, is you can play with any skill level, and there's still a chance that people that don't play that much can actually still win, and it's a lot of fun. Great party game. We played a whole heck of a lot of this back when I was in college. Very late night N64 Mario Kart sessions. Those were special times. Little competitions and whatnot. Doesn't look like I'm gonna pull this win out here. I might be able to gain another. Just one, I guess. Oh, that's brutal. 3rd place. I was just practicing this level too, so that's a little bit of a shame. All right, so let's see. We're tied for 2nd right now. Right. So back to the leaderboard. It looks like Abney's 1, MR is 2, Dotman is 3, Dan's Game 89 is 4, Climate is 5, Smurfy 6, Haddock 7, DNTN 8, Flippy 9, and the Young Gun coming in at 10th with a time of 39 minutes and 55 seconds. So you can see right there the difference between 1st place and 10th place is over 1 minute, which is kind of crazy when you think about how much time these guys have put into this. The guys at the top are absolute legends. It looks like there's a 40-second gap between Dan's Game and Climate, so 4th and 5th, and that's the real chunky gap right there. 40 seconds in most speedruns is a lifetime. At least when you have games that are as optimized as these ones are. Obviously, you run into hundreds of variables throughout a speedrun in this game, but you get the idea that some people can just really work around them and make faster runs happen. It also has a lot to do with perseverance and playing the game obsessively, over and over and over, until you get all of the RNG that you could ever possibly dream of. And that's also what makes this game brilliant and timeless, in that you can play it 7 million times, and every single time you play it, it's a little different. It's gonna have different things that happen. You're gonna have different power-ups, and different arch enemies that are gonna be able to push you around in different sort of ways. I wish I could think of that word, of what they use, the nemesis. Whatever it is. Hopefully somebody sees this and can comment below. I'll pin that if you do. Okay, so moving on to Bowser's Castle, and speaking of the enemy, it seems that Bowser has been number 2 behind me for most of this, and so we're in the middle of his domain here. I haven't perfected my Bowser, especially right here in this part here. I like to take that corner there, but this level is really hard. There's a lot of places where you can just eat it right into the lava. It's quick. It's quick though. You can get around it really fast. But you see there's no sides to that bridge. Every bridge has a big chance to take you into the lava and really ruin the run. And then these blue guys here are always getting in my face. But having said that, I do. Oh, there's an example right there. I do like playing this level though. It's if you can get through it all without any issues, it's actually a lot of fun. And as silly as it sounds, it's probably one of my favorites in the game. This and the same goes for Banshee Boardwalk. When you get in a good rhythm on these maps, there's nothing that feels better to just blow right through them. And I think that's important. Once you start getting better at this game, to appreciate the levels that you used to hate. Because once you learn the little things that make it so that you can get around them, it's great to play people on these maps and just absolutely destroy them. Constantly watching them fall right into this pit here, or smash up against the wall there, get stuck behind one of these bushes or something. Yeah, it makes it fun. I'd have to say, this is probably my second favorite N64 game. It might be my number one. I credit this game is to what got me into speedrunning in the first place. Because of that whole story I just told about finding my brother's old memory card and forcing myself to strategize a little bit. Like, we're just gonna skip the end scene there. We'll do one more. One more circuit. We'll do the special cup. No, we're not doing Flower Cup, special cup. But yeah, so I credit that whole experience of destroying all of my brother's time trial records in getting me into speedrunning, because I played Mario Kart obsessively after that. Also started trying to get my mushroom cup time down to under 8 minutes, which I never actually successfully did. One of my biggest problems with this game is spinning out. I spin out so much. I need to get a better handle on that. But anyway, so back to my speedrunning stuff. Oh God, look, I'm I'm stuck. I was playing the game so much that my thumb actually started getting tendinitis. So, from squeezing the A button too hard, because I would get so focused on the game that I would actually not realize how hard I was squeezing the controller. And eventually I realized that my thumb was really in a serious condition. It was really hurting, and actually became kind of an issue. I went to the doctor and had to put a splint on it and everything. And anyway, in the meantime, while I was recovering and doing physical therapy for my thumb from too much Mario Kart, I spent a lot of time looking up different strategies for the game, and figured out that I could actually watch some of these top racers on Twitch. So I started watching MR and Beck on Twitch, and Haddock and Climate, and they don't stream very often. It's kind of rare. So I being kind of aching for more nostalgia of the N64, I started watching this streamer Drozdowski playing Super Mario 64, and at the time he was going for the 1-star and 0-star world records. This was back probably in I want to say the fall of 2017, maybe even 16. No. It was fall 2017 that this all started, and I started watching this kid absolutely destroy this Super Mario 64 game. It was unbelievable how fast this guy was. If you've seen my beating Mario in 20 minutes and were impressed by that, I can't recommend enough going and checking out this guy's video. He eventually moved on to running the 16-star category, and currently has the world record in that category as well. Here's a good little skip coming here. Let's see if I can. Oh yeah, clean as a whistle. Hope you guys are impressed. That one's not an easy one. Anyway, so I would recommend going and watching his videos, especially his world record running. And he spent a lot of time working towards a 14-minute world record, 14 5x. And let's see if I can get it again. No, you can't. I'm not consistent with that trick yet. I'll probably skip it the next time around. Anyway, I can beat the game in 18 minutes and 30 seconds. That is my personal best, which is good enough for somewhere around, 350th in the world. But he is number one at 15 minutes and 4 seconds, I believe. A Japanese runner by the name of Aki also has that time, but is a few milliseconds slower. And Aki actually held that record for a few months before Droz decided to take him out. But anyway, that is how I got into speedrunning, and how I've basically built this channel based off of my newly found obsessions with these retro games. But going back to my favorite game, which I probably play Super Mario 64 the most now, I would credit this one as my inspiration towards creating this channel and being the N64 aficionado that I am today. What's actually greatly improved my skill set is that prestige stick that I installed in my last video. I'm not sure if many of you guys watched that video, but I'd like to say that that is the creme de crop of my videos right now. I really think that that has been my masterpiece video so far. So if you haven't checked that out, I highly recommend you do. It's perfect sleep aid. I'm basically just working on installing this prestige stick, this steel stick into my red N64 controller, and I clean out the controller, and then I do a little bit of a playthrough of, or just a little test run of Super Mario with it. I have to say, after a couple weeks, I guess a couple months now, of a month and a half or so of using the steel stick, I really, really like it. It was very sticky at first, and it's very heavy. I don't think that it's perfect for actually running Super Mario 64, but you get very clean angles out of it, and it's a pleasure having, oh, great lightning. Just what you need on this map. This is exactly what I mentioned earlier. There's nothing worse than getting electrified off the edge of this map. There's actually a worse area coming up here that is the worst when you hit a banana peel or something right here, right there. Those two little turns there. Anyway, back to the steel stick. I'm happy with my purchase. I'm gonna have that thing for the rest of my life. I was just looking at Prestige's Twitter, and it seems that a whole heck of a lot of people have still not received their sticks. So I'm extraordinarily lucky. I put my order in as fast as I did, and I'm very grateful for having that chance to test it out and to share it with you guys. So I hope that I hope that you guys check that video out and take a look, because it's really cool. And here we are in the longest map in the game. Probably most people's least favorite map. There's not much going on here. Pretty hard to screw up on this map, besides either being launched off the side by being hit by a shell, or possibly chomped off. I don't know if the chompers can hit you off. I think maybe they can. I'm not 100% sure. But as long as you stay in first on this map, it's pretty difficult to grab any items besides a banana or a shell. So it's pretty darn boring, I have to say. But for ASMR purposes, we can sit here and do a little analyzing. I think that it was the perfect catalyst for the game to finish on the Rainbow Road. It's got such a magical feel to it. It's got all the different characters all lit up in the sky that gives you a little bit of a rundown of all the battling you've been doing with all these guys. And there is a very epic skip. If you jump to the left here, you can actually make it over and skip a giant chunk of this map, this whole loop here, which I am not going to do that right now, but that's one of those glitches that would be included in the shortcut. Time trial records, which I would also recommend checking that out, MarioKart64.com. Like I said, the community is super active. They do updates every month. I'm not sure if they do it more than once a month, but it looks like they might. They announce the new players added. They go through the different movement of all of the ranked players and how much they've climbed since they've added new times. And it's interesting to see how you stack up against all these other players. I'm somewhere in the 600, 700 range in the world, so I'm nowhere near competitive right now. But there are plenty of people that are climbing that ladder every day, so it's interesting to see. And oh, that's a nice job there, getting chomped up. Yeah, right. So, having gone through two of my favorite games so far and a very nostalgic game, Yoshi's Story, I was hoping to do another classic game next time. I was thinking Star Fox might be the next one that I dive into. I did play through two games in their entirety recently. I tried to 100% Banjo-Kazooie. I got probably about, I want to say 95% of the game done. I don't think Mumbo tokens actually are counted towards 100%, but I collected all of them except for like 6 or 7 of them, it seems. I think you're supposed to have 40 left at the end of the game, and I think I have 33. Banjo-Kazooie is really, really one heck of a game. I also watch a few streamers play that. Stiv and Haginator are both very, very fun streamers to watch. They are both extremely active. They pretty much play every day. I also watch a streamer by the name of Nyloon. She's great. So maybe at some point I'll dive into Banjo-Kazooie and we can play some of that as well. Plenty of other games on the list. If there's anything that any of you guys want to see, please do not hesitate to comment. I would like to have some chatter about what you guys are interested in. It helps motivate me to get these videos done. And here we are again, another Yoshi championship here, which is brilliant. I love having it at the castle. I love the crossover of the castle in both this and Super Mario 64. It's actually great. It's like they're the same game. It's just like two different parts. It's just the same world. It's great. Number 1, Peach was the nemesis here. And then we've got the fish handing out the trophy, which is fantastic. Well, there it is. There's the trophy. But I want to thank everybody for watching this video. If you were able to make it this far without getting bored and turning it off or falling asleep, I hope that you're asleep right now. I hope that this was relaxing. I would love it if you guys would like the video, if you guys would smash the hell out of that subscribe button, give it a smash, and yeah, like I said, leave a comment. Let me know what you guys want to see. Hit me up on Twitter. I've got a link in the About page. And I hope to see you guys next time, alright? Good night.